Well, how's it going, everybody? Here we got April the 15th, 2025, tax day. Hopefully you got your taxes done. There's the Prudential Building there if you need a reminder of insurance. Yeah, we'll just check out signs of spring here. We'll probably head down Wabash. We'll go along the L tracks there. There's the Carbide and Carbon. Hey, the sun came out. That's nice. Remember how dreary and cloudy it was this morning there? We walked around with the raindrops, and look, it's almost to 50 degrees here. We got upper 40s. Chris, how you doing there? Prince, thanks for tuning in there. Stephanie, yeah, hello to the lunch bunch here. Look, we got blue skies. So here we'll head down to the Nutella here. Nando's is above. Get your peri-peri chicken. We'll head over to Wabash there and see what's happening in the loop. We went to the Bean this morning on TikTok. We went to the Bean yesterday on YouTube. So if we get to it on the way back, we'll get to it. If not, we can skip it there. Here's Nutella. Hey, Tony, how you doing there? Heather B. Hey, we got a not too bad of a line. There's usually a line where you get the Nutella jar there. You put your name on the jar there. Yeah, you can't see the glare there. Hey, we got sirens here, so here comes an ambulance heading up Michigan Avenue. Sounds of the city here. Oh, number 41, screaming up to the Northwestern there. Rob on the road there, how you doing? Yeah, Stephanie. Hey, how you doing? See, I'm looking at the comments here. I'm looking at the comments. You want to say hello to anybody there? Yeah, I'm looking at the line. You ever go in this Nutella? I'm amazed there's always a line there, you know.
I think it's a tourist.
Yeah, it's a tourist. Yeah, I notice people go there in the summertime.
I'm going to go get my ramen.
Good, get some ramen there. I'll see you later. Thanks, appreciate it. Thanks for saying hello. I'm just going to go down Wabash. This YouTube. Yeah. So, hey, how you doing? Thanks for saying that's good. Thanks for saying hello. That's great. See, so people, you know, I'm on YouTube in the mornings, and then I'm on.
Oh no, I'm you from this?
Yeah, he probably neither knows me from TikTok or YouTube. Really? And isn't that amazing that people are saying, you know, hello?
Like what?
Yeah.
What exactly is your video?
Brian Really Chicago. I just walk around Chicago. Like I went to the C2E2. I went to the Comic-Con thing.
So you just walk around Chicago?
I went to the Cubs home opener. I went to the White Sox home opener. Just cultural things, you know. So yeah, I went to. Yeah.
Do you get paid for it because of like all the people like logging in? You get money?
Yeah, people send like a few gifts, like $1 here, $2 there.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Oh
So
God, I want to follow you.
Yeah, see, Brian Really Chicago. That's good.
Brian Really Chicago on TikTok.
On TikTok and YouTube. It's spelled REALLY because no one knows how to spell my name, and so it's Brian Really Chicago. There's other people that walk around New York. There's people that walk around Tokyo. There's people that walk around Paris.
That was a random guy.
That was a random guy.
I know you.
Yeah, it's a random guy. It took me a while to get used to it because
seriously.
Yeah, people come in from other cities and they're like, I'm looking for you, and they're like, I'm right behind you. I'm like, don't say that because I feel like people are stuck, and then people are like, you're gonna get shot because.
Is it scary a little bit or no?
Well, sometimes people don't want to be filmed, and I have to always walk the fine line. But we're in the public here, you know, and. You know, I've run into other people. You know,
so
I'll let you have your lunch, but I'm gonna walk down Wabash, and I show the L train, and I do a voiceover.
I love it,
that's good. Thank you. See you. Thanks for saying hello. That's good. We'll talk more about it later. Is this good? Is this good? Mammoth.
Yeah.
Mammoth. Yeah, I'm good. Good. Thanks for the good. So hey, there's a friend of mine that I know here in Chicago, and she saw me live streaming and. You know, isn't it amazing that people have known me for years, don't know I do this? And they're like, what are you doing? You're just walking around. I said, I've been doing this for 2 years. Thanks for tuning in there. Yeah, bringing people together there. Hey, Rob on the road there. Yeah, Pete, Michael. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Yeah, thanks for letting me talk to my friend there, Kashab there. And who else is tuning in here? Pete, Michael, Heather B, Jason. Kashab there. Yeah, this is Chicago. This is United States of America, planet Earth here. How you doing there? And the guy that invented Knock Knock Joe's up for the Nobel Prize. Well, there you go. See? But hey, look at these beautiful clouds here. You got retail space for these. You just joined me on Wabash here, Loop of Chicago. And yeah, they built this thing. You see what it looks like there. They rented out apartment rentals here. This is a Wabash. They got that amenity deck, but they still got some storefronts here. But the Smoothie King's here and Starbucks. So they got a few storefronts here along Wabash here. Hey, how you doing? Yeah, she was intrigued. You see that? The crime ball. That's why I said I run into people, like I said, that I've known for years in this city and other cities, and they're like, what are you doing? I said, well, I've been doing this. And they don't watch. They know me in real life. They don't watch. Like I have, my father knows I do this, and he won't watch my videos because, you know, that's how it is. People that know me in real life, they're like, I'm not going to watch your videos. I hear your voice enough. He's probably tired of hearing my voice on the phone. He doesn't need to hear it on the live stream. But I appreciate everybody else tuning in. We got the sunshine here. Feels good here. Feels like a spring day. Yeah, so here we'll catch the, here comes the brown line heading north here. We'll cross. Scenes of the city here. Hey, we'll see we're on the other side of Macy's here. There's the brown line heading north there. There you see the top of the Smurfit Stone building. This is this housing. You see how they save these facades on Wabash? We talk about it all the time. They built this heritage. They saved these facades and they kept the storefronts. I gotta look where I'm walking here. Look, we got an obstacle course. I guess they're working on the window displays here. Hey, the window washer's up there. Look, there's the window washer. Look at that. It's hard for me to navigate here. How you doing? That's great. Hey, YouTube, that's great. That's awesome. That's great. See, look, saying hello. Friends and neighbors here. And see how they kept that facade? See, it says 1916. Aren't you glad they kept that facade, that cornice up there? Do you see how they put the amenity deck for the heritage behind it? They reused the facades. And it's probably the parking, and there's some storefronts. And I remember Tilted Kilt was up there. You could see right at the edge, that you were right at the track level of the CTA trains there, the elevated trains there. Liverpool, how you doing there, Sean? Thanks for tuning in there. Yeah, nice and sunny here. It was rainy and cloudy this morning, and this sun just came out like a half an hour ago, just in time for my lunch walk here. We're heading south on Wabash, the Loop of Chicago. We're by the train tracks here, the elevated transit, and we'll dance around here. Let's go over to State Street. Let me show you the tulips. The tulips are blooming on State Street. They should look good here in the sun. So we'll walk down State Street a little bit. Yeah, the save buildings. Replaced everything with steel and glass. That's why you realize I'm glad you appreciate historic preservation. Historic preservation is important, and even just to maintain the detail of the facade, because we know we don't produce buildings detailed like that anymore. You know, we got I'll take you by the Carson Prairie Scott, Louis Sullivan. We got these amazing. Here's the side of Marshall Fields. I'll show you since you're tuning in from Liverpool, I'll show you the Tiffany Dome here. Now, my regular friends and followers here, you've seen this many times. We got reruns, but sometimes it's nice to see it live. And this used to be the Marshall Fields, a large department store here, and now it's Macy's. I mean, you might have heard of Macy's. They're a New York-based department store that bought up a lot of these older department stores and cities and made it their brand. But here's the see, these columns were here when it was Marshall Fields. It goes back to the 1800s, late 1800s, and Marshall Field would go to Europe and see all the beautiful architecture and come back and tell Tiffany to produce this amazing, this is the world's largest Tiffany Dome, produced with Tiffany glass. That's mother of pearl thousands and thousands of mosaics. I got a video where we go up to the 5th floor and you can see those arch windows. You can see it right at the level there. You can see here they talk about the Tiffany Dome here. 6,000 square feet, 1.6 million pieces of Tiffany glass. I'm talking too loud here. But the historic Marshall Fields here. Now the Macy's. You can shop here at Macy's. You go here right to the makeup counter. And we'll continue going. This is just a sampling of the... This is why historic preservation is important. And we certainly wouldn't want to lose this building if it stopped becoming a department store. We wouldn't want to lose all these amazing fixtures and details, even the heat vents. And that's why Richard Nickel would salvage when they were tearing down Louis Sullivan buildings in the 1960s and 70s, and he lost his life trying to salvage pieces from the Chicago Stock Exchange because it was illegal. And here we'll cross. He didn't have permission of the owner to save that stuff. And here we'll go down State Street here. We'll cross the street. We'll check out these beautiful tulips here. And here's the Reliant, another historic building here, one of the earliest vintage steel frame structure skyscrapers here. And we were here this morning. Here's State Street, looking north of Chicago Theater's that way. We went there already earlier today, so we will skip it for now. But see, here's State Street looking south. Look at the tulips. Yeah, we got tulips blooming here. April the 15th, 2025. Here's your first tulips here on State Street. Blooming, peaking here. You got yellows and reds and oranges. Yeah, they'll continue to peak the rest of this week here. Look at the beautiful tulips here, Michigan Avenue. Isn't that nice? You seen this Stephanie Sean 8th? No, this is Chicago. This is the United States. If you want to see Germany, watch Demichi, our friend Demichi there. He streams in the Bavarian Alps. Here's the Reliance Building, 32 North State. And there, Nordstrom Rack. How's it going there? Mr. Bones. Yeah, hello. How you doing there, Ernesto? If I missed anybody, thanks for tuning in here. Here's Uniqlo. So yeah, Uniqlo's going to move up to Michigan Avenue. Once that new store opens there, we'll give you a report there. But we finally got in that Harry Potter store yesterday. There's rerun there on TikTok. So here, look at this alley. Look how narrow that alley is. That van's navigating that Chicago alley. S.A., how you doing there? How you? Yeah, miss you, Ernesto. Yeah, check out Ernesto. Have you been streaming? Yeah, check out Ernesto there. And I know Edwin was at the Harry Potter opening. I know Nick caught it too. Nick Kukin there, and we got all these great live streamers in Chicago. Keys and Jay City Walking Girl and Nia and You Should Eat and Keys Impact here. Well, here's the Carson Prairie Scott. So look at that beautiful facade there. There's the L train going by. Let's check out the tulips here. Madison and State. There's Madison looking into the loop there. There's the zoom is. Hey, we got some more tulips here. We'll quickly film the tulips, and then maybe we'll cross the street. Maybe we'll keep checking out these tulips here. Mojave Desert there. How you doing there? Thanks for the rain. And D. Michael. Well, D. Michael's the Mojave Desert here. Let's cross the street here. Here's this bus. See how you can see all the way up to the Chicago Theater. We were there this morning. So we'll cross here. We'll show you the detail of the cast iron detail. Louis Sullivan designed this. This was the Carson Prairie Scott. Now it's called the Gothic Target. And look at the beautiful cast iron right there. And look how you can see the Louis Sullivan in the thing there. I appreciate it. There you can see the Louis Sullivan. There you go. So she's not going to let me talk. She's going to talk over me because I know she's trying to get money for her family there. I appreciate it. And here we'll keep going down. We'll go back to Wabash here. But there was the Louis H. Sullivan in the facade there. So it's a public street. She's allowed to talk over me if she chooses to. And here's the 23. Look at that beautiful door there. Look at that. How you doing there, Lambie T? Thanks for tuning in. Hey, they got the drink there. The Hannah Buska Authentic Souffle Pancake. 29 Madison Street here. So we'll head over to Wabash here. Here stood old St. Mary's Cathedral Church, the first 5 Catholic bishops of Chicago. It destroyed the Great Chicago Fire. So there was a church here in 1871, and you see what replaced it here. We got this commercial building. You can't even tell that there was a church here. So it shows you the use of the completely changed here. Here's Wabash here. Tax day in LA delayed because of the LA fires. All good. You got extra months there. That's good to hear. So if you live in LA County there, you got an extension on your tax date because of the LA fires there. That's good to know. That was such a disruptive event there, and we can relate there because we've gone through fires. Denver's gone through fires, and LA went through a horrible round of fires there over this winter. How's everybody else doing with the wild spring weather there, wherever you're at there? Yeah, the Magic Brian family there. Hey, you get some shawarma here. Hey, Noff Grill here. Yeah, look at these facades here, flat top. Got some restaurants here on Wabash. It's not too bad. We're Wabash down by Monroe Street. Here's the 55 Monroe Building. They're working on it, that big giant monolith there. Street preacher. Yeah, sometimes the street preacher stands on State Street there. He has a PA, he has an amplifier. Yeah, he got a microphone there. Yeah, we see, it's, people get permits to stand at certain corners there, and, freedom of religion, freedom of speech. Hey, look at that scooter. That's a nice scooter. All these delivery people delivering stuff here. There he goes. So here we'll cross. This is Monroe Street. There's the Palmer House Hilton. We've gone inside there. The beautiful lobby here. We're still heading south here on Wabash here. We got 1219. Thanks for tuning in here. Scenes of the city here. Chicago, Illinois. We're almost 50 degrees. Tuesday, April the 15th, tax day, unless you're in, hey, spin her around there, make her dizzy, unless you're in LA County there. Here comes the train here. Oh, there it comes. Here comes the orange line to Midway here. Look at that. Scenes of the city here. Going into the Adams and Wabash station here. So here's Miller's Pub, world famous ribs here. Going to the scaffold, that's where you enter the Miller's Pub, family owned and operated since 1935. Fine fine food and spirits there. Let's see if there's a greeter here. Let's see if we can check out the inside here. Yeah, they got greeters right away here. Hey, how you doing? I'm just telling people your historic bar here, this beautiful building, your Miller's Pub here. I'm just walking down the Wabash. I'm Brian Really Chicago. How you doing? Hey, thanks for saying hello. That's good. I want to show the beautiful bar here. Look at this. We've got see Route 66. Adams is Route 66, and they got the beautiful ceilings here. You got all the steins here. Wow, it's like
sure as long as they go, they have.
Was this a German style before, or was it? Was
No, it's a Greek.
Greek,
The
Greek.
owners are Greek.
Yeah.
But the mother of one of them
Yeah.
is German.
Okay, Greek and German. Greek and German. That's good. They got all these stuff. You got all the pictures on the wall too. You got all the famous people. Yeah.
All the girls was on the pictures, but when
Yeah.
they're mother, they just put in something.
Yeah, good. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, see, so here's some of the, here's the owners, I think, right here of the Miller's Pub here. And they got, yeah, this is an historic location here in the Loop here. They got all the paintings here. And they got all the seating over here. And you can go up to the stairs here. So hopefully we're streaming okay. You see how, for me, it has like a, you know, a 1960s like Mad Men vibe. Like you get an old fashioned, I could imagine the, you know, John Hamm there from Mad Men there on AMC sitting at the bar there drinking an old fashioned there like he was in the 1960s New York or something there. That's Miller's Pub. But hey, thanks for tuning in here. We're at Adams. And there's the Sears Tower there. There's Burkhoff's. Look at this classic view looking down Adams here. Yeah, they're nice. The paintings behind the bar are really cool. Yeah, they are. They got some amazing. Sorry I didn't spend more time there. I was glad. Thanks for the staff for talking there. Here we'll head across here. But here's Adams Street. You can look through the Sears Tower. If you go the other way, it's the Art Institute there. There are people riding the bike here. We're still on Wabash here, heading south. We got 1223. We're heading towards the South Loop. We might barely touch the South Loop here. Hey, One Love, Bob Marley here. Got the fabric store here. Lived in Newbury, England. That's great. That's a nice bar there. Tennessee, how you doing there? You saw chickens roaming in the woods there. Hey, Jean. Thanks for tuning in there. Sean. Yeah, check it out there. Well, at least you see it virtually. And here's the Exchequer Restaurant. The Exchequer Restaurant, another old-time 1969 restaurant here in the Loop of Chicago here. Here comes the Brown Line heading north here. And here's the Exchequer Pub. Look at that. Hey, Al Capone there. Al Capone and the Exchequer. Hey, one train goes one way, one goes the other. We got an eclipse of the trains here. Look at that. Pink Line's only 4 cars. But here's the central camera, this amazing neon sign here, this classic Kodak central camera store in the Loop since 1899. And again, like I said, this place was tragically looted and damaged in 2020. And people were like, what does this have to do with George Floyd? I don't understand it. Just, you know, I understand people trying to damage Target and police stations, but not why would you attack the central camera? What did they do to you? You know, it just, we were all baffled, but we're thankful it's still there and they were able to fix it and save that sign. But it just was probably in the wrong place. It was, you know, a symbol of the power of the corporations in the Loop. But here, let's head over. Let's go down the. Let's go down to even though Kodak is no longer a company here. How you doing? Appreciate it. So here we'll head down. There's an alley down here, and there's a coffee place across from DePaul University here, and the Beatrix Market's over here. There's a Barnes and Noble. Here's the Pickwick place. They got a coffee spot. I filmed this. Jay's filmed this. See how there's this little box canyon alley, and look how you can look up. They build over top of it. Sometimes I lose my connection when I go back here. If I open the door, there's a coffee spot right here, and it's called Pickwick Place off of Jackson here. Hero Coffee Roasters, and it's just this little, look, they got the window here, so you go to the window. Here, I'll get the door, we'll help you out there. How you doing there? See, look, it's just a nice little coffee joint there, and they got the window. And see, you're right, you're underneath this cantilevered access connector of the building here. This is Pickwick Place, Loop of Chicago, 20 East Jackson. You can go to Hero Coffee there and get you some coffee. Nice alley there, yeah. No, London's pretty nice. London's got some amazing historic buildings. You know, London is more significant on the world stage than Chicago. Now, New York, of course, is probably more significant than London, but London's probably equal with Paris and Tokyo and Hong Kong as far as like world cities. They got the Alpha and Beta World Series. Chicago's always a second city compared to New York City. And even though we have good financial services, we got the Mercantile Exchange, which is the largest commodities exchange in the world, and it has something to do with the Board of Trade. But we got good colleges. Here's Chicago's public law school here, University of Illinois Chicago's. Thankfully, University of Illinois Chicago is starting to put something in this building here. We'll cross State Street here. Look at the Tulips. So you could cross diagonally. This is one of the rare intersections where you could cross diagonally, and we'll do it right now. We'll cross diagonally. We're right in the middle of the intersection. It's an X, just like in Japan. They got those big intersections there by Shibuya and Shinjuku, by the train stations here. So University of Illinois, UIC. I'm glad. I remember where this was all boarded up. That building's all boarded up, but UIC Law School is in here, and there's people having lunch here. And there's, see the Pauls across the way. There's the police going through, and I'll show you the Harold Washington Library here. Someday we'll make a point to go to the library, and we'll go up to the Winter Garden there. I probably should have did it in winter, but there's the Harold Washington Library there, and you see how nice it looks with the. There, let's head down there. See, there used to be a lot of people that gathered in this park, and maybe there still will be this summer, but they fenced it off here. See, they got the historic information about the buildings here. There's Poncho's rooftop cantina there. People hang out there. But here's the Harold Washington. This is the main public library in Chicago. You see that glass on the top there? That's the roof garden, the Winter Garden there. 900 North Michigan Building. Yeah, it looks like a European hotel. There is a hotel in there, the 900 North Michigan. It's called the Four Seasons. It's a pretty expensive hotel. And here we'll see if the L train. Yeah, here comes the Orange Line. Orange Line heading back from Midway Airport here, heading into the loop there. There it's going by the Harold Washington Library there. So hey, thanks for tuning in. We'll go by this taco truck. And we'll go under the library station here. Van Buren there. Yeah, where's the Tim Hortons? We need the Tim Hortons. We want some Canadian. I don't know how the tariffs will, how it'll do with the tariffs there. And again, I'm not generally for these tariffs, but we're all hostage to the whims of this administration, whether you voted for them or not. And that's how, that's representative democracy or constitutional republic, what we got here. Everybody takes turns. And so pendulum swings one way, swings the other. Yeah, so it begs the question, Sean, why are you watching this? You have millions of things to watch. If this is boring, please watch something else and save us all a bit of time here. You don't, maybe you like to stay and complain. You're welcome to do that as well, but you will get blocked if you just sit here and complain, because you got plenty of things to watch on YouTube, TikTok, and if you don't find this entertaining, I understand. It's no big deal. I won't take it personally. And thanks for your feedback there. We need you to make this city exciting. Please come and make Chicago more exciting by gracing us with your presence. Here's Fisher City Apartments. You got the Fisher's building. I'll walk through the Monadnock Building. We'll go through the bottom of the Monadnock. It's such a nice arcade here. And you see the top half is load-bearing walls. The bottom half is steel frame construction. And this building represents the shift in 1892 when they started building all the buildings with steel frame construction, which allowed them to go higher and have larger windows. And you can walk right through the bottom of this historic building. It's called the Monadnock Building. There it is, Monadnock, 54 Van Buren. So we've done this before. They got a look. Everything is just like you walk back in time. You got the real barber shop here. You can get a shave at a barber shop just like the old time. They have a shoe shine place in here. They have things that I don't see anywhere else. They have a haberdashery. Here's Harry's Sandwich Shop here. So you got a sandwich shop here. You go to Harry's, go right to the bar there. Yeah, look at that Harry's sandwich shop in the Monadnock Building. You can see him frying it up right there. There's Harry right there. Look at this letterbox. See, you got the letterboxes. Got a tobacco shop. I guess, can I say that on YouTube? I don't know. TikTok doesn't like when you mention anything to do with things that can be produced in the vapor. Here's Fedora. They got shoes. They got fashion here. And like I said, there's a shoe store with a cobbler. They'll fix your shoe. This is Monadnock Building. Here's another restaurant here. Look, they're making the sandwich right there. This is called Raw Bar. This is the Raw Bar, another restaurant here in the Monadnock Building. You can come here for lunch and go to the Dashing Chicago. Look at all the shoes here. They got all the shoes here. And then you can go over here. They got chairs for shoe shining, and they'll fit your shoes right here. And they got the cobbler shop where they will fix your shoes. There's the cobbler right there fixing the shoes. So you can make your shoes last longer. Get your leather shoes here. Look at that. He's going to fix up the shoes there. Look at that. And this is called the Shoe Hospital. This is the Shoe Hospital in the Monadnock Building. We got jewelers. JC Jewelers. Come on in here. And look at the stairs here. Let's see if we can look up the stairwell here. Some of these buildings used to have human-powered, look at that, you can look up the stairwell. They used to have human-powered elevators, but I think they replaced them. Some of the last ones, they just replaced the human operators, and they're updating and automating the equipment. Here's a florist. We got a florist right here. Look, she's making the arrangement. See, signs of life in the city. Chicago's not boring. If you find this boring, I can't help you out here. So you might as well just delete my channel here if I can't entertain you with this. Here's a letterbox. Here's the haberdashery. You get your fedora. They got all the molds for the hats. There he is right there. Talk to him. Look, see how they got all the wood molds there for your head there to measure your head. This is called Optimo. This is Optimo Hat Makers. A real haberdashery here in the Loop of Chicago in the Monadnock Building. Look at the amazing hat selection they got there. And we'll head right out here. And thanks for look at the vents, the heat vents even. And here, Optimo Hat Makers. There it is, Optimo Hat Makers here. Monadnock Building. This side is load-bearing walls, so the walls are really thick on this side. You see how thick the walls are. Look at that. So here we'll head up Dearborn Street and we'll go up past the Calder flamingo statue here. Yeah, you know, I don't often go to the top of the observation deck of the Sears Tower. It's pretty expensive. I think it's $30. How much is it to go up there? I don't know. Check online. I think it's at least $30 to go to the top per person. So that's why I don't go up there. Rarely. The only time I go up there is when I have relatives in town that want to see it, and we go up there. And it's a beautiful view. The 103rd floor, you can see in all directions. I personally like the view from the 94th floor of the John Hancock much better. I liked it better when you could go to the 95th and 96th when it's the Signature. Here's the Signature Lounge. Here's the Calder statue here. This is the Federal Plaza next to the federal courthouse is here. See, there's the Sears Tower. Here's the Federal Dirksen and Klosinski buildings here. And we were here when there was some protest earlier this winter. And there you see the Marquette building, that red brick one. That's Halliburton Roche. That's a vintage 1890s skyscraper, one of the earliest steel frame buildings in the world. It's a well-built building. We go in the lobby there sometimes, but here's the Calder flamingo statue or sculpture in the Federal Plaza here. Yeah, it's like a praying mantis there. Yeah, everybody has an interpretation of what this is. I don't really see a flamingo either. But here's a post office, United States Post Office. This is Mies van der Rohe. Mies van der Rohe designed this. You see how the roof looks like it floats? And it's the international style. similar to the Seagram's building in New York City. That's Philip Johnson, who was also a modernist there, international style. Le Corbusier, Mies van der Rohe, these glass boxes. And here we'll cross here. We got 8 seconds here. I want to get across the street here. Hey, the sun's coming back here. Human powered elevators there. Yeah, 2220 State there, now demolished. It's on the 2nd floor. Yeah, but the Prudential Building, you're right. The Prudential Building used to be the tallest, the one built in the late 1950s. They had a restaurant at the top. You remember that? Yeah, that's, you know, near where I work there. There, this is Dearborn Street. You see how there's bike lanes here now? And here's the Marquette Building. It's such a beautiful lobby. I can't resist going in here and just showing you the lobby. And again, Joliet and Marquette, they're the MacArthur Foundation's in here. They got these beautiful, hey, they're working on it here. They got the scaffolding here. That's amazing. They're working on this amazing mother of pearl mosaics here. And then they got the elevators here. And there, the Chicago. That's my favorite here. Is a Michigan, a Native American chief called Chicago. So here's and level, some of the Native American chiefs and the French voyagers that came through here in the 1680s and established diplomatic relations with the Illini Confederacy. Chicago went to visit King Louis XV in France. He sailed across the Atlantic, and we forget that some of the Native Americans went to Europe before our ancestors came to America. Hey, there you go down to the Blue Line. There's the Monroe stop on the Blue Line. We'll head up Dearborn. We'll head right up to Daily Plaza here. So hey, thanks for tuning in there. Chicago's expensive, like most cities are expensive. It depends on what neighborhood you live in and how near the lake and how much you can spend on housing. It's not as expensive as New York or LA. You're a grown person, or I assume. You got the internet. You can check out real estate prices online there. You don't have to take my word for it. But yeah, you know, we always talk about the price of things, and it's always higher than what I anticipate or expect too. I wish housing is my biggest cost, and it's the biggest regret for me living in Chicago for so long, is that I wasted so much of my money on housing. And how you doing? Appreciate it. How you doing? That's great. Hey, how you doing? That's good. So here we'll head across the street here, and here they're working on the Chase Plaza here. That McDonald's is closed. Italian Village is still there. The Chagall mosaics are in here. And this is the Chase Building here, center of the Loop, Chicago. We got bikes. Yeah, so, you know, everything's supply and demand. If you live in any area where there's a lot of dense urban people living on top of each other, it's going to be expensive because it's location, location, location. You're close to proximity. Prices are always cheaper in the countryside and in depressed areas. You can get really cheap housing in Gary, Indiana, or, you know, certain depressed suburbs that are, go to Dalton there. But, you know, it depends, you know, you'll still be close to transit, but, you know, it'll be more empty lots and less amenities. So it's all proximity. Here's the Chase Tower here. How you doing? And, see, they wanted to build a taller building here. That's as tall as they got here. I remember in 2007 they wanted to build the tallest building in Chicago right here, but it got scaled back because of the Great Recession. And they literally scaled it back, and that's why they canceled the Calatrava Spire. It was supposed to be built. The Trump Tower was built, and there was another building called 111 Wacker that for several years it stopped mid-construction. It was somebody else had to buy it and finish it out, and it looks different than they were originally designing it. So here we'll cross the street here, Dearborn and Madison. This is Dearborn and Madison. Well, amazingly, you know, I've been living in Chicago 26 years, since 1999. I've lived through several Chicago harsh winters. And yes, Chicago winters are harsh. I'm not sugarcoating it, but I'm also not sugarcoating this. Listen to my words. The last 3 winters have not been as cold and as harsh and as long as winters I remember. And imagine people that have lived here much longer than I have. You can go back to the winters of the 70s and the 80s, which were pretty brutal. And I don't know if it's climate change or if it's just we just had some mildly 3 years in a row we had a mild winter. I mean, it could be just a coincidence, but I personally don't mind the winters as much as other people. You just dress in layers. Other people, I joke that Americans have collectively lost their ability to deal with cold weather, and the reason I say that, you know, think about in the 1800s, people living like Charles Dickens there with the coal, and the pioneers and the Native Americans and living out in the frontier, and they were always dealing with cold extremes. You know, you ran a farm, you're always dealing with cold weather unless you live in warm climates. And so much of America has moved south, and if it wasn't for air conditioning, you would deal with harsh summers. You know, you wouldn't want to live in Houston in the summertime without air conditioning, trust me. And so, you know, a lot of our ability to live in such warmer climates is made available by air conditioning. And so there's your answer there. But Chicago's not for everybody. The winters are not for everybody. I don't blame anybody for leaving this city for a better climate and going to Florida or Hawaii or Puerto Rico or wherever people go, Arizona, California, Texas. But here we're in the loop of Chicago. There's the Daily Plaza, there's the Picasso, there's the City Hall. We're heading up Dearborn Street here. We got 1243. I better start heading back towards the office here. Hey, thanks for joining me on this nice little loop walk here. Heading through the loop here. How's the stock market doing? It looked like it was pretty flat when I left. I don't know if it's changed direction or not. Hopefully the bottom that was put in last week will be the interim bottom for a while. We'll see. Yeah, you need air conditioning in Tennessee. It gets so humid. Hopefully you're doing okay with the storms. I know there was some storms. Here's the Channel 2 News. See the Channel 2 News? I can't linger here too long. They give me a copyright strike if I film the live. There's the broadcast there. So there's the live broadcast there. The guy's in the way. I wish he would get out of the way. There he is.
Public reaction, one way or the other, has been intense. And
Here we'll head up Dearborn Street. There's the L train going across there. Please allow me to introduce myself. I'm a man of wealth and taste. Can you guess my name? Washington State? Yeah, that's good. Ernesto, how you doing there? Yeah, Dolores. See, I know, it shows you Chicago, as much people talk about our cold winters, we can have really hot, humid summers. We get extremes at both ends. We get cold winters and we get hot summers. So we get both extremes because we're in the middle of the big North American landmass. There's the Thompson Center. They're working on it. It's going to be the new Google there. We got some wind here. So we'll head over. We'll show you the Chicago Theater. We got enough time to see the Chicago Theater on the way back here. We'll show the Nederlander here. We often walk through here. And one of the beautiful theaters we have here, the Loop of Chicago. Here's the Dearborn restaurant here. There, the Cambria Hotel. This historic building goes back to the 1870s or 1880s. Nederlander used to be the Iroquois Theater, then it was the Oriental, now it's the Nederlander. The Iroquois Theater had a horrible fire in 1900-something and like 600 people died. It was horrible. You can look that up. So people are looking at haunted places. This might be a haunted place, or at least the alley behind there. We walk through that alley sometimes. It's called the Plug Walk Alley. Here's Block 37. And there's the L heading through there. Wabash, we already started down there. I'm a man of wealth and taste. Put a band together in Washington State there. Yeah, I was in Seattle in 1999. I told Major Hustler that Major Hustler, he live streams on TikTok there in Washington State, or Seattle, and he says, "When's the last time you've been to Seattle?" I said it was 1999. I flew through there. I flew through the airport. I was there in like 2010, but I didn't go into the city then. I wanted to. But here we'll cross here. We're back to State Street. And we'll see if any tulips are blooming here. There's the Chicago Theater. There's the Jewelers Building. Yeah, we'll head right up that way. Yeah, YouTube. Yeah, hopefully we'll dry out by the summer here and get the rain out of the system there. Here, we're waiting for the light here. Wait for the last, but here's Macy's. See, we were inside there. We went and checked out the Tiffany Dome here. Hey, we got the walk here, so let's check out the Chicago Theater. See if they updated the marquee here. Yeah, SeaTac Airport. That's a nice airport. I'm glad they got it connected to the city there. You can take the transit right into. And I remember going through those subways in downtown Seattle when there was just buses running through there. And they finally got it connected. Hey, look at that. She's got the nice poster there. See, these tulips are not as far along here. We saw further south in Moulin Rouge here. Here's the Chicago Theater, State Street. What do they got there? Pretty Guardian, Sailor Moon, Super Live. Here's the Red Line. There's the Gene Siskel Film Center. There's a Coca-Cola truck. There's always trucks parked here. There's the Chicago Theater. You're on stage, turn of the century, Last Dance, Mary Jane there, that's good. Was that Tom Petty? Yeah, Last Dance with Mary Jane. There's the Green Line. Look at this amazing density. Look at that, you can see the L train with the Aon. Here's the Chicago Theater. Yeah, and here's the alley where a lot of the bodies ended up after that tragic Iroquois Theater fire, which is now the Nederlander. You can look it up there. There's many articles about it. There's the Torture Museum. People ask about the Torture Museum. It's right there next to the Chicago Theater. So we're back up to Lake Street. We'll just head back to Michigan Avenue and we'll wrap this up here. Thanks for tuning in here. Yeah, that would have been an honor to see that. Yeah, thanks for letting us know there. So here, we'll cross here at State Street. Yeah, it's the Channel 7 News here. We got Potbelly. Look at the Chicago Theater. Can I get one drink? You want one bourbon, one shot, and one beer? Let's sing to George Thorogood. I think George Thorogood's going to be at Wrigley Field this year, right? Did I hear that right? I know AC/DC's going to be there. There's some other big name acts going through Wrigley this year. I know I'm leaving a bunch out. Maybe we'll get the L train round in the bend here. Rock and roll fantasy, yeah. Torture Museum is called The Office. Yeah, so I'm going back to the office. I'm going back to the Torture Museum. That's a good reference there. I appreciate it. There's Taco Gurita. Hey, here's the tour bus. So the tour bus must have had some extra equipment. They had to haul an extra bit behind the tour bus even. Got the band equipment there. Yeah, you want a Coca-Cola there? Yeah, Coke is it. Warren Buffett will give you one. He owns the stock there. They always get Warren Buffett drinking a Coke when he goes to the big Berkshire Hathaway convention there. He lost his friend Charlie Munger. I like Charlie Munger. He would always be. I like Charlie Munger because he was against Bitcoin. Here's the Giant Panda Express here. Yeah, we'll head across Wabash here. What time we got the trucks turning here? Go behind this truck. There's the Trump Tower. Here's Wabash looking south. Underneath the L track. See, we walk down here. Isn't it nice to see the beautiful green trees here? Elephant Castle. They got the getting ready for the outdoor seating here. Blue skies. You got the Chicago Fire. Look at this guy just intimidating this woman. Or maybe their boyfriend, girlfriend. I thought he was asking her for money, but maybe he's just like talking to her and they're like a couple or something. That's good. So I was wrong about that. Shows you how first impressions are wrong. He's a great guy there. But there's a lot of people got all kinds of stories. They'll be, you know, you never know if it's true or not. They'll be like, oh, my kid's sick in the car there. I need $5 to get to the hospital. And you're like, I had a woman once, she said she was pregnant and she was bleeding and she needed to get to the hospital. I said, well, let's call an ambulance. She goes, no, don't call an ambulance. I said, you said you're bleeding, you get to a hospital. She goes, no, I just need money for an Uber. I said, let's call an ambulance and we'll get you to the hospital. She's like, no, don't call an ambulance. I said, well, it's not an emergency, right? And I was live streaming the entire time that happened. And there was a guy that lived down the street and he came up to me and he goes, don't talk to that woman. She's always out there doing this same thing. And I tried to be empathetic, you know, and it was a trick, you know. And I should have known as soon as I was like, well, let's call an ambulance. She was like, no. And I guess she was very afraid she was going to get charged for the ambulance. But come on, if it's an emergency, it's an emergency. Don't involve me in your emergency. That's what 911's for. But hey, thanks for tuning in. Welcome to Michigan Avenue here. And here we'll head across the street. Hey, look at all the people on Michigan Avenue here. That's great. Yeah, I don't know if I saw Jeff Healey there, you know. Some of the grunge bands were still there in the 90s. I don't know should I know Jeff Healey. So hey, thanks everybody for tuning in. I'm going to go back. Yeah, the Bonnaroo. Yeah, the Bonnaroo in Tennessee. That's a big festival. I saw Coachella there. And so here, we'll head back to work here. Thanks for tuning in here. We'll see you on TikTok tonight. We'll see if the sunshine continues. We're almost 50 degrees here in Chicago. Thanks for tuning in on our loop walk here. Yeah, there's that used to be the tallest building in Chicago, briefly, the original Prudential. Then they built the second one in 1988. And the rest is history. Have a great day there. Yeah, people always asking for money. Even the people asking for charity there, you know, they want a credit card. So we'll talk to you later. Have a good day. Appreciate it. Thanks a lot, everybody. Thanks to my mom.